I'm in better health than I was when I was 19. And once you start seeing the different blood results month after month, and you see the results in your body.
Oh, dude, you're so in it.
You don't want to go back. You're like, You break it down so easily so I can understand it, and it makes sense to me. It's not about sacrificing. I'm not sacrificing. I'm enjoying. I know that I have so much farther to go. I love that.
Hey guys, welcome to the Ultimate Human Podcast. I'm your host, Gary Brecka, human biologist, where we go down the road of everything that makes human beings ultimate human beings, not just longevity, anti-aging, and functional medicine and biohacking, everything that makes regular humans ultimate humans. And I have an ultimate human on the podcast today, Dave Grutman. This has been a long time in the making, bro.
So excited to be here with you, man.
Yeah, I'm jacked that you're here too. So you've got a really interesting story, from graduating with a finance degree.
Yep.
You started bartending at 21.
Started bartending, became passionate about the business, and I, I'm from Naples, Florida. Same from your stomping ground as well. Very small retirement community. All my friends are dead.
Outgrew that.
Yeah, they were 90 years old when I grew up with them, and they're gone.
Yeah.
But it was a great place to grow up. Small town. Coming here to Miami and being in the hospitality business, exciting, fun.
But it's a global hospitality magnet from 21-year-old bartender.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of distance there, right? I mean, I got to say that probably every 21-year-old bartender wants to be a global hospitality magnet.
Listen, I don't know. A lot of people love to get into the hospitality business as the in-between before they become an actor, or while they're in medical school or law school or this or that. And for me, it's not just a profession. It's what I'm passionate about. It's my lifestyle. Everything revolves around it, and it's in my home as well. So it's not just, do I want to take care of you in my places, but if you come to my home, it's the same kind of hospitality.
In your home, you're absolutely straight honest about that. I mean,
I live and breathe it.
It's just who you are. So you're a 21-year-old bartender. You're not necessarily in the nightclub business. You're not in the restaurant business.
And I'm not super good looking, right? I'm not super good looking.
You are now, though.
I mean, obviously now, but... what's great about it is I was making, I talk about this all the time, I was making $100,000 a year bartending, but I wanted to be a leader.
Solid.
It's very good. Great job in the Aventura Mall. The owner of the mall today is my partner in all my nightclubs. So You never know where the relationship's going to start. And I always preach to people, relationships, because it's been the superpower of my success.
It's funny that you say that, because I talk about you behind the scenes a lot, and you gave me one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever gotten. And I don't know if you remember this, but I was working with a very well-known celebrity, and there was a kerfuffle about a picture that made its way onto social media. And you called me and you said, Gary, this is not good. And you said, the best piece of advice I can give you, and it's the simplest piece of advice, but I've applied it every single day since then. You said, with these people that are A-listers, celebrities, entertainers, at the top of the food chain, always play the long game. Always play the long game. Just get into their flow. Don't ask for anything. Just add value. Otherwise, they'll have no time for you. And as long as you continue to add value, you'll get into their flow, and the rest will happen.
No, I mean,
I literally follow that advice every day.
Listen, Gary, very quickly you started seeing and had a client list of amazing A-listers, celebrities, people that constantly have the finances and the will to seek out answers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see it all the time, right? Because of my business. And people are always so scary to get the picture, or get this or get that. And it's not that. It's just like, it's fun, it's sizzling. But if you play the long ball, it'll happen organically, right?
Yep.
Naturally. And I think you took that and right away. And I remember the person was like, you were like, they're upset at me and this and that. And I said, just be honest. Mm-hmm. You're not going to fool anybody, right? It's always to say, you know what? I made a mistake.
Right.
I understand why you're upset. It's never going to happen again. And once you say that, it's over.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. It was over, and since then, the trajectory has been,
by the way,
I can't even
happened to me. Listen, in my business, because, these people are letting their inhibitions go down.
Mm-hmm.
They're having the best time of their lives. Everybody knows it's the most press-worthy thing out there, but I don't go for the short press with it. I try to go for the long ball press with it. And it's worked out a lot. Now, a lot of my competitors will go for and just try to get the terrible
Leverage.
press on the person, blah, blah, blah. And what they've done is not only do they burn that celebrity, but they've burned the publicist, the agent, the manager, the whole team who control 10, 20 other people
And
each.
what's astounding is the connectivity at that level. They all know
And
each
everybody
other.
talks and everybody knows.
Everybody knows each other. That's why I never, ever open my mouth.
Yeah, it's just better.
Best piece of advice ever. So I want to get back to this journey because, when we talk about what makes ultimate humans, it's sometimes those little things, the failures you recovered from, the passion that you never gave up, the business partner that actually taught you a lesson out of some kind of negative event in your life. So talk about, how you evolved from being a bartender to going into the hospitality industry. Because I actually remember you in the mansion days with the Opium Group.
Of course.
Right? You were with working for Eric Milan,
Eric
right?
Milan, Roman Jones, all those guys.
Roman Jones and all those guys, and they're still around.
Well,
And-
the Milans aren't around, but Roman Jones is at Kiki's, yeah.
Yeah. Kiki's, and his partner Eris, great
guys.
Great guys. Eris is one of the kindest human beings in the world.
Roman, to his credit, this guy Roman Jones, guys, I was working in a very small, cool place at the time, but doing these big events with sponsors and stuff like that. And Roman came to me and said, I want you to run my nightlife group. And I remember his two partners were like, we never heard of this guy before. This is the guy you want to run our nightlife group? And they came and sat me down and I said, yeah, I want this much money. I think at the time it was whatever. And they said, we've never heard of you. We've been burned by so many people. We don't want to pay you that. And I go, I'll tell you what do you want to pay? And they said this. And I said, I'll tell you what. I'm going to work for you for 1 month for that amount. But if you want to keep me after that, it's going to be this amount and you're going to pay me the difference of that 1 month that I did this compromise with you. After 2 weeks, they were like, we're good, man. Thank you so much. We're so happy.
That's awesome.
And it gave
Would
me,
you say that was a tipping point?
it was a big tipping point because it gave me a platform to do what I do. Having Opium Guard and Privé at that time and being able to, it had kind of started to go down a little bit, but still had this really great aspirational thing. And it gave me a platform to really say, okay, let me go to work now and do things and bring sponsors and be able to do events that were bigger than that venue should have ever done in a million years. And it helped build my name. And by building a great brand within that, I wasn't a front of the house guy then. I wasn't such a guy that was out there. I was always behind the scenes creating
But
what
what made what you did different? Right? Because I got to think that the industry's full of great hosts.
At that time, I was just very event. How can I bring DJs and people to do events and use other people's brand equity, marketing equity to grow my brands? And
So you already had this mindset that
because
this is going to be a brand of my own.
Because just inviting someone to a Friday night at the nightclub is cool, but if you invite somebody to a Friday night at that time to a big Playboy event or a big Mercedes-Benz event or Versace or whatever it is, it gave them a reason to go out. It made it feel more special than just being in a regular nightclub. And that's how I kind of took that and try to magnify the shit out of that.
So you started building this list. You're always thinking, I'm going
Tying
to do this for myself.
other brands, building brands together.
Yeah.
So I used their brand equity to build my brand.
And I think too, one of the things that I've gotten to know about you is that, you're known for the hospitality industry, the nightlife business, the restaurant business, but it's really, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Alcohol brands. I mean, you're just reviving the Prince brand.
Yes.
I still remember Prince as a kid, just a big tennis brand, and I felt like it was kind of like an old stodgy dinosaur. So you came in and started to reinvent it. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, almost 5 years ago, friends of mine at ABG said, hey, Dave, we have a bunch of brands here. It's an authentic brand group. And I said, well, you have this Prince brand that was it was just bankrupt. We just got it. I said, I want to do that. I love how iconic the brand is. It reminds me of my childhood. To me, it's Country Club America. It's an American iconic brand to me that resonated with me because of those days of Andre Agassi.
Yeah,
and all that. And that, for me, that was the best time of my childhood.
Wasn't that McEnroe too?
Not McEnroe, but
he was
David,
before.
Yeah, it was Michael Chang, all these guys. But if you look back in the archives, everybody played with Prince.
Yeah.
And then they didn't.
Yeah, and then they didn't.
So bringing it back has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
And what's the plan for that brand? I mean,
so keep going more fashion forward. We know we're not going to have the budget to have players like everybody else, but we want to just give great hardware, which is the technical stuff, the rackets and all that, and then give you the coolest aesthetic to be able to play tennis or lifestyle.
Right.
And I mean, I didn't even like tennis when I did this. I take up tennis during COVID. I'm so obsessed with with tennis now that I play 2 hours every morning, 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Obsessed with tennis, as you know.
Yeah, you're crazy.
I live and breathe tennis.
Yeah. And I actually just sent you an article, a clinical study that people that play racket sports live longer than the average.
I never had a sport that I was so excited about and if it rains, I get pissed off. I'm like, so I've played in the rain. I've done whatever I can, but I have to tell you, it's just for me to have something. And my wife is always, my wife is always like, I wish you like this, like you like tennis. And she always refers to what she wants to change in me or for me to do like the way I like tennis.
You know, I think people, one of the things they don't realize about exercise is actually a form of meditation. Oh. And so for people like you and me, that type A's, that their mind's always going, you know, when our environment quiets, our mind wakes up, we got 1,000 ideas, we have 1,000 meetings, we got 1,000 projects. So it's really hard to just sit down and sort of quiet your mind.
So listen, after many years of this kind of stuff, is Dave, when you sit and relax, how do you feel? Well, here's the thing is, and I'm sure you're going to find it with a lot of guys like myself, they probably just don't want to be alone in their own heads. Like where people,
I don't like vacations.
Yeah, like where people are so happy to just be by themselves, and I can't be by myself, and I can't just stop thinking. I just can't stop doing. And it could be that maybe, you know, I have some traumas that I had to deal with as a kid or whatever it is, right? But I'm so happy to be busy and to be going and figuring things out and what's the next and how do I make it great, that I don't really want to sit back and that's not relaxing to me.
Right.
It's the opposite of.
No, I see it. Every time I go into your place, it's like there's another meeting with Skinny Dip, there's another alcohol brand, there's another fashion brand. So you're branching out not just from hospitality and
I try to create an ecosystem for myself, right? So I try to invest in brands from Liquid Death to Goodle's Mac and Cheese to Last Crumb Cookies, and now this new one, Skinny Dip, which I'm so excited about as you
I'm excited about it too.
It's a better for you, snack and candy. Every girl loves it.
1 gram of sugar in a lot of them.
It's amazing. And for me, it's like now that I've gone on this mission, on this journey to try to better myself, I don't want to just put shit in my body, right?
So much different. I mean, so you and I, we've known each other for a while, but we really started to get going in around May of 2021.
Well, okay.
And you were actually.
You said, let me just get a blood test. Let me just do an exosome and a blood test on you, and
a cheek swab,
and a cheek swab in my DNA, and it really changed my whole life. Now, I have a great trainer that I went on this mission during COVID to try to get, I was 240. Anthony Rhodes, best trainer ever, still my trainer every day. That guy. I went from 240 to 190 and I couldn't get past 190. And I also wanted my levels to be correct and my endurance and my energy, and you changed all that for me.
Thank you.
And not only did you change it all for me that I weigh 170 now, but I have great muscle mass and I feel like I have a team around me, right, with you guys. What's so great is I can't wait to tell other people about you nonstop. Everyone that comes to my house.
You're probably 60% of my business right now.
I mean, 60 is a little low, I think, to be honest with you.
Maybe 72.
Okay.
72.
So what I think is so cool about it is once I put you in front of somebody, they're like, what's this biohacking, da-da-da-da? I'm like, listen, let me just get a blood test and a swab, and we'll go from there.
Just happened 5 minutes ago.
It happened yesterday. It happened today. It happens every day.
Happens every day.
I can't wait for people to see what all this is about, because it's just crazy to me that not so many people know about it.
Well, a lot of people, they think they feel great, right? They have a feeling of, how well they're thinking, how well they're sleeping, their energy level, their response to exercise, but they actually have no idea where their true baseline sense of normalcy is. And I remind people about this all the time, because a lot of times they'll go, oh my God, Gary, I feel amazing. And I'm like, you don't really feel amazing. They're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, you feel normal. That's how normal's supposed to feel.
Right.
Like you feel normal now. Like, you say, I feel great and I have more energy and I'm thinking more clearly and I sleep more deeply, and you have, probably the most fucked up schedule of anyone, right? I mean, when you're not traveling, your schedule is still off, right? Just based on your career. And now for you to say that you feel amazing, it's because your baseline sense of normalcy is so much higher. I mean, human beings have no idea how well they can thrive when you replace the right raw materials.
So, when you get a level of success and you're in this busy business, your health, it's the second thought on your list. And you think you're unstoppable. But after having my blood test and seeing my testosterone level was 97,
Right.
and
I remember.
and this and that, and that I could be better.
Sugars were high, triglycerides
Well, my
were high.
cholesterol was, and of course I blamed it. I eat a poppy steak every night.
Right.
So that of course caused it. But you're like, we could fix this. You could still have your lifestyle that you're looking to do, but at the same time, let us fix the inside of you out. And once you start seeing the different blood results month after month, and you see the results in your body.
Oh, dude, you're so in it.
You don't want to go back. You're like,
You're so into it.
And that's how it is, I think, for most. Once you see a little bit of a result, that's what changes everything.
Yeah, and the nice thing is you see the results on the outside, right? I'm losing weight. I'm thinking.
I'm shopping. I'm buying clothes that I could never buy before because they didn't make it an extra large.
But when you see what's happening on the inside, when your bloods start to change, and you're like, wow, my triglycerides are down, my sugars are down, my insulin's down, my cholesterol is down. My immune system's improved, my red blood cell count's higher. Now you realize the real impact because you're super into it, man.
I'm real, I'm like, what?
This guy calls me 24 hours after his blood work. Is my blood back? Is my blood back? Is my blood back?
Because I feel like it's passing an exam. I feel like, listen, because listen, at the end of the day, you do have to be disciplined with making sure you take your stuff daily. You have to make sure you stay on it. And it's okay. And now it's okay. If I have a slice of pizza or this, it's okay.
Right. How much of a chore is it for you to stay in shape, to stay on the protocol, supplements, nutrients, and to kind of stay within the guardrails of the diet? And that's not really a diet.
It's not really a diet because let me tell you guys, at the end of the day, when you get to your desired weight and muscle mass and all that kind of stuff, it's okay. You know what I mean? You know that tomorrow you're going to work a little bit harder and you're just going to get it off. And I think it's not about sacrificing. I'm not sacrificing. I'm enjoying. I'm like so excited to go play tennis. Before my glutes weren't firing. This wasn't good. The fact that I'm able to go at I'm almost 49 in let's say a week or two. And I'm in better health than I was when I was 19.
Oh, you look amazing, man. We're going to run some before and after pics.
It's
just astounding, man. I saw a video with you and Mark Wahlberg. You were doing a fight scene.
Yeah.
The other day. Yeah. How long ago was that?
That was in 2018.
So that's 2018. So not that long ago. And you were
that was probably one of the heaviest I was at. Probably closer to 250 at that point.
You were a big boy. You were doing this, your fight scene. I don't know where I saw it. And I was like, wow. That is an astounding transformation. Talk a little bit about after you made this transformation, you got to your targeted weight. What kind of things are you seeing in your life as a byproduct of just feeling better, thinking more clearly?
Unfortunately, I can't keep my shirt on now. I want to keep my shirt off at all times.
I noticed that too. It's all over
and even
Instagram.
my friends are like, okay, man, we get it. Can you put your shirt on now? And I'm like, I can't put my shirt on. I've been a chubby Jewish guy my whole life. I never once had a muscle.
I've been to meetings where he shows up shirtless, literally shows up shirtless.
I don't ever want to wear a shirt.
Yeah.
It's not good. My friends and my family, everyone, they're like, can you just put a shirt on, man? And I'm like, no. I spent my whole life with shirts on.
Yeah.
Let me at least live a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And that to me is the best part. And, friends of mine that have been friends of mine for 20, 30 years, they're just like, we never thought this would be possible. I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes, eat fat food, fried this, do that. Didn't matter.
You're drinking.
Everything you could imagine. And now I don't do any of that, man. And yeah, I still have a desire to have fried chicken. I still have a desire to eat this and that. And, once in a while, I'll have a bite of that, but I won't eat the whole thing of that. And I won't make it my lifestyle to do that. But
it's amazing. I refer to some of the things I do as my drug of choice. Like cold plunging right now is my drug of choice.
That's a great idea.
And the reason why I say it's my drug of choice is because nothing makes you feel that good, right? I mean, I get in there for 3 to 6 minutes. When I get out, I feel like I won the freaking lottery. And I'm in that mood for 7 hours. And I'm like, if I could just tell the world how good you could feel by just doing something as simple as an ice cold shower or a cold plunge, you wouldn't want the other things that you're trying to use to get you to that same feeling.
I couldn't agree more. as this journey's been, and listen, again, it didn't happen overnight. It's been years now that I've been doing this. But every time it keeps getting better and better. And I love just seeing the results and the results and the results. And when I'm like, this is kind of it, I know I have so much farther to go. I love that.
So let's get back to your journey a little bit. Where is Dave Grutman in 5 years?
You know, people always ask me, what's your 5-year plan?
Yeah. Where are you in 3 years?
And, you know, listen, I have like 22 openings in the next few years.
Restaurants,
hotels, resorts, nightclub, a day club. And that's kind of, for me, that's where I am. But also on the venture capital side, investing in founders and really pushing these investments and these products that people are. I love working with founders to make their dreams come true too, to use my network, to use my resources to be able to grow brands.
I know you're close to the GoPuff guys, and obviously they're exploding, and they're great guys. Are often
the best guys ever. The guys that founded GoPuff, Raf and Yak, my favorite people in the world.
Best guys.
But I'm lucky enough to have some of these. I call them the masters of the universe because I get to be around some of the greatest business minds in my life. And I think it's so great for my daughters because they get to be around it and they say, and they're inquiring about it.
My daughters love your daughters. In fact, my daughter's down with your daughter right now.
And, you know, to see my wife, who's now such an entrepreneur. And she won't take
her jewelry
fees.
brand.
Her jewelry brand, her clothing brand, but she's also, she won't take fees a lot of the time. She'd rather take equity in a brand because she knows she's going to help turn the needle for that brand. And she thinks like an entrepreneur. And, you know, we've done this restaurant thing together. When she came in my life is when we opened our first restaurant, which was Komodo, highest grossing restaurant
in the country,
in
right?
the country.
That's
and
insane.
So
how old is Komodo?
7 years old.
Wow. And it's still going strong.
And we just opened Dallas. We just opened Dallas 2 months ago, crushing, doing great. The brand's going to grow now to another big city, which I can't talk about, but that'll be in December. And it's great to see one of your brands live outside of Miami. You know, in Miami, of course, it has a better shot than not for me to be able to do a brand. But when you take your brand and you take it out of Miami to Dallas and it's working so well, that's one of the best feelings ever.
Now, do you take the same team there, or do you have a local partner? Do you have different partners in the same restaurant, in different places?
We've found is you really want to know the landscape in whatever market you go to. So you definitely want to hire local. That's the biggest thing and you want to have
what about partnerships? Are partners local? Or?
So we have a couple of investors that are from Dallas, and that's great. But you want to make sure we have a quail on our menu in Dallas. We would never have quail on the menu in Miami, that's for sure, but maybe now. But you always want to know what's going to make that city identify with your brand and not just be the big shot from out of town that's coming on in.
So those investors are strategic because they've got local market knowledge. Because obviously, at this stage, money can't be that difficult for you to raise. But at some point, it had to be a real issue.
Yeah, in the beginning, capital was the hardest thing. People, when I first did Komodo, people thought it was going to be, at that time, Brickell was not that busy. I had seen that all those condos that the condo crash had happened with that were all filling up with young professional rentals that were coming to my nightclubs and stuff coming to live, coming to Story, doing all that this was going to be where they're going to live. I knew that this area was going to be full of young professionals. So I had some data telling me this, which was great. We opened Komodo, but my friends were like, I don't know, but we want to invest in you, Dave, blah, blah, blah. Jeff Sofer owns the Fontainebleau. Didn't see me as a restaurateur. Did invest in me. I'm like, Jeff, I made you so much money, man. He's like, yeah, but you're a club guy. And I go, okay. So meanwhile, now Komodo is going to be going into one of his hotels coming up. I love it. I think it's all about hospitality, whether it's a restaurant, car wash, whatever it is. Hospitality is hospitality.
Yeah, you kind of remind me. There's my favorite sports quote of all time was Wayne Gretzky's famous quote, I never skated to where the puck was. I always skated to where the puck was going to be.
It's 100%.
And I feel like you're that foreshadowing guy in the hospitality industry to say, it's not where the hospitality industry is today, it's where the hospitality industry is going. So where does that come from? Because when you're like the lead rhino in the herd, there's no one to give you advice. There's no one to say, this is the spot, Dave. The city's creeping that way. You could be ahead of the tide.
Like anything else that's you get a feeling and a sense, and you kind of have great instincts, and instincts are a big part of this business. But I am lucky enough to have people around me like Noah Tepperberg, who has Tao Group, and even Jeff Sofer and I talk, and even my own team. So as great as I am, I'm good. But as good as I am is because of the guys that I work with, right? Like the Chris Comos, the Purples, the Edwards. Like I have great teams around me, lots of great people that work with my company, or I wouldn't be here today with you sitting in this chair, man.
Yeah, no question.
It's like everyone's always like, oh, you do this and you do that. No, our company's able to accomplish this because I have some of the greatest individuals around me.
And is the idea to just keep growing Groot Entertainment Group and continue to do lifestyle type projects where you're doing the hospitality, you're doing the nightlife, you're doing the restaurant, you're doing...
Yeah, I mean, we just want to do super cool shit right now. At this point in my life and in my company, we just want to do the coolest stuff you can imagine. And that's why, in a few years ago, we partnered with Live Nation, who's the #1 entertainment company in the world. Michael Rapino, best CEO ever, president. And, he bought into my company. We have a great partnership. And it's being able to partner with people that are going to grow your brand and help really accelerate what you do and give you that guidance and help.
And kind of along the way, obviously you're known for all this record of successes, but talk a little bit about the things that didn't work out.
Oh my God.
What was a concept that you were like, holy shit, that really, never saw that coming.
Yeah, I opened this amazing diner in an old architectural Firestone, very vintage building.
I went to the open. Winkers.
Coolest Winkers, named after my one-eyed cat. Best food, my favorite food.
Legit named after his one-eyed cat.
Total failure. Total failure. And
so what do you do when you recognize it? How fast do you switch gears? I mean,
listen, you have to be able to say, I'm not going to put good money over bad. And you have to know when to say, it's going to burn so much of my time working on this, when I could apply it to things that's going to 10x, 10 times my money on something else. So, after 3-4 months, we said, no, thank you. Sugar Factory, a very good friend of mine, now took over the space, and I'm partnering with him on the space.
Okay.
And
so it's going to be Sugar Factory.
It just opened a Sugar Factory, and he's doing great. And I love that someone else can make a space work that I just couldn't make it work. And there's some times where I just can't make it work, man.
So is that one of the things you'd say you've learned along this journey, is like when to put your ego aside and say, I'm not just going to keep pushing this so that Dave Grutman doesn't have a failure on his records, to say, hey, we're going to shut the lights off.
Listen. By the way, I'm going to have more failures on my road because if you're not afraid to swing for the fences, you're going to strike out sometimes. It's just life. It sucks when it happens. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, but it's a learning lesson. It just sucks. No matter if they say whoever tells you it's not a failure, it's just like, okay, I get it. Yeah. But it's just not a great feeling, right? Yeah. And I have an ego like anybody else, maybe even more so. And it sucks to get a black eye. But that kind of, everyone's like, oh, but you know what? I pick myself up right away and I go attack, and then I have a gecko or I have another big hit, right? So you want to make sure that you follow it up with something great, and people have short memories. Yeah.
Another thing I feel that a lot of people might not know about you is you're an amazing father.
Well, if you talk to my wife, she'll tell me that I need to be more present, I'm sure.
Do you see that? I was just going to say, you're so present every time that I'm there. Because I'm around you quite a bit behind the scenes. There's no cameras rolling. There's no fanfare. We're not at your clubs. We're not at your restaurants. We're in your living rooms. But the time, the dedication, the bond I see you have with the little girls, I can tell that they just own your heart.
Yeah, listen, I have 2 daughters, Kaya and Vida. My wife, Isabel, and thank God I have my wife, because she's really made sure these kids are not entitled kids. They're not spoiled kids. They're sweet kids. They're polite kids. They're respectful kids.
Yeah, I feel like you and Isabel are kind of the yin and yang.
Yeah, she tells the kids one toy each, and I say I want to buy the whole store. And she's like, if you buy the whole store, we're going to have real issues later on. And she's right. And, one of my daughters yesterday said, I want a Happy Meal. And I was like, no, we're going to get this for dinner, not a Happy Meal. And she started crying so badly and throwing such a temper tantrum. And I was like, should we just get her the Happy Meal? My wife's like, if you get her this Happy Meal, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, okay, no Happy Meal. And then she's right, because later on it would be very bad.
And then they learn that that's the way to get dad to give in.
But listen, it takes work to be present. Everyone loves to say, oh, I'm the best father. I'm always with and I see this with my friends and the kids.
You're trying to go for it,
right? For me, it's just like it takes a little bit of effort. Of course, I want to cuddle my daughters and love my daughters, and I do, but to be present in their lives is very. you got to do it. And it doesn't come so easy for me. I have to really focus on it because I want to check my phone. I want to see what's going on. I want to talk to this person, that person on the phone. And that they don't really care about any of that stuff.
You kind of detach a little bit in the summertime. I mean, you guys are going you're going overseas, you're going on the boat, you know, you're doing a little European tours, but the girls are going with you.
Yeah, of course. We bring our kids with us everywhere. They've been to Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Israel.
Dude, that's
everywhere.
The best.
Paris.
We
go
homeschool
everywhere.
our youngest too because they're just on this journey with us.
I think it's the coolest thing to see my daughters run around the pyramids in Egypt or be around JR, the artist, who's one of the most amazing people in the world.
He is amazing.
And we just did Tokyo and Korea together. And to see my kids running around and having the best and really taking in the different environments that they get to experience. Yeah. And they're young and they may never remember any of this, but I think it's going to leave some kind of imprint on them that it's going to help them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. You know, when you peruse your social media, you see a lot of Isabella. So how did you guys meet?
I met her in New York at a mutual friend of ours was dating one of her best friends, another Brazilian. My wife's Brazilian. And I met her for a few minutes. She put a flower in my head.
She's one of the calm Brazilians. So.
She's very calm. She left Brazil when she was 14 to go model in Korea.
Okay.
But she is one of the most smartest, stable people I know. And I took her for lunch the next day and I convinced her to come to Miami a week later.
From New York.
From New York. And I'm just so lucky to have her, man. I can't, every day I'm like, I wake up with grateful. I'm just so grateful. I have a lot of gratitude for her.
Your kids are like mini-me's of your wife. They're literally just shrunken versions of your wife.
And listen, guys, as you know, I do some of the coolest shit in the world. I get to do the most fun things, adventures, this, that, meet the coolest people. There's nothing that even comes close to how cool it is to have kids.
I know. I totally agree, man. My oldest two work for me. You know, both of my you know, Madison and Cole, they're both in school full time. They both work with me full time. We travel together. We see clients together. Like they caught the bug. Because I feel like you can teach your kids anything, but you can't give them a passion.
No.
Right? That's got to come from them. And I always hoped they'd catch the science bug. And then they both did because we make science fun.
Yeah. You know, what you guys do is you guys break down science so the Joe Schmo can understand it. I don't know what a neutron is and this and that and all that. Whatever we talk about in this stuff. Right. I don't know about any of that stuff. But you break it down so easily so I could understand it and it makes sense to me. Oh, it doesn't, you can't process this because your body doesn't allow you to process this. You have to be able to process it a different way. So let's go over this and this is going to help you process it and be able to take it in. And just something simple like this, being able to understand the chemistry of your body or whatever it is. And I don't feel like you're making me feel like an idiot for not knowing it, right? That's the best part.
I think that's my superpower, is to take 100%. The ultra complicated and explain it in a way that people understand. I mean, I really want to get that message out. I mean, my passion is to change the face of humanity.
I mean, this is why I'm sitting
giving
here,
them
Gary.
that information.
I turned down so many of course, I've done a couple of great ones, but I'm so happy to sit with you and be able to get this message out because I think the more people, like my friend's father has Parkinson's, the fact that you're helping him and he's now showing insane results. And of course, a mutual friend that was going to get a kidney transplant. He doesn't need the kidney transplant anymore. I think it's just...
Oh, that's chicken soup for the soul stuff.
It's the coolest thing ever. And when I bring you downstairs or I bring people to your place and you just talk with them, it helps me win deals.
Does it?
But yeah, of course. People love it, man. People think it's when you change someone's life.
Yeah.
You build a relationship with them you're gonna have with them forever. They're always going. That's why everybody that calls me and says, "Hey, you know, my kid is gonna go to University of Miami." Amazing.
Yeah.
I meet with the kid. I make sure the kid could get a haircut, dinners, whatever that kid wants. I make sure that if the kid gets sick, he has the best doctors or she gets the best doctors. It changes your relationship with people. When you do something great for someone's kid, you love people a different way. And I make sure of it, man, because I know if I was a father and my kids were going to a different city, I would feel so happy to have a friend like myself to be able to look after them and make sure if, God forbid, something happens that they're there.
Yep.
And that even if the kid just wants to feel like they have a home-cooked meal or whatever it is, that they come over and see with Isabella and my daughters and whatever it is. But it changes people. When someone does something for your kid, it's just like, I love it.
Yeah. You know, that's another thing I notice about you is that behind the scenes, it's not just a bunch of superficial relationships.
No.
Like these people are in your home. They're your friends. They're your family. You vacation with them. You go to their weddings. You break bread with them?
Well, I show up.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
You show up. That's,
if you know, no matter what, whether it's whoever it is, you just want to be able to show up for people. When you show up for people, it means so much.
Yeah.
When people, listen, when people show up for me, I'm like, wow, thank you for showing up. Like,
Yeah.
I know how busy you guys are. I know
nice
you have your own
acknowledge
thing.
that.
It's just like, it's the most genuine, nicest thing you could do for
Yeah, I mean,
somebody
you've
to
done
show
the
up.
same thing for my kids for their 21st birthday. I mean, every time that I need a reservation, I mean, you guys go out of your way. I mean, it's astounding to me how involved you are in the details.
It's all about the details. What do you mean? It's all details.
Yeah.
My business is all details. That's what people don't understand. They're like, yeah, I'm eating dinner, but I'm seeing the table next to me with a dirty plate, or I'm seeing.
It must drive you crazy.
No, the whole thing's crazy. It's a nightmare.
Is it worse going to your own restaurant, or is it worse going to somebody else's restaurant?
Like if I go to someone else's, I know I don't want to be disrespectful and say anything, but sometimes I have to be like, listen, this is whatever. But
can you bring the manager over here? I have a list.
No, just like this, like just your own knowledge, but. The more thing is, like, I'm looking at social media, people tagging my restaurants and stuff like that, and I'll see on there if there's an app, like if there's sushi with like a duck and different stuff, and I'm like, wait a second, why is there sushi with a duck? That means the server just ordered everything at once and didn't take them on a journey,
just brought it all out,
and the person may not say anything, but the person will never come back again because they felt like they got rushed out of your place. So you always want to see how the sequence of service is at your places, and social media. And I'll call the manager and be like, tell me what's going on with this table, this name right now. And they're like, you're right, David. The server ordered everything at once and fired
And when
everything.
you do that to your team, it lets your team know that you're watching.
Always
when they
watching.
don't know you're watching.
And they know when I walk in the restaurant, the energy is going to change right away. They know they better be on their game.
Right.
Because I'm looking at everything.
But it's just as important that they're on their game when you're not there.
That's,
obviously,
by the way, that's the best leadership. Is everyone's great when you're there, but how does your leadership when you're not there?
Yeah.
I'm not able to travel and do all this if I don't have a great team.
So what's like a typical Thursday, Friday, Saturday night look for you? You do your thing at home. You've got
8 to
Shabbat
10,
tonight.
Yeah, I do 8 to 10. I do the tennis, as you know.
Yep.
I usually do a little bit of therapy or something like that one day a week just to, get the soul right.
That's great.
Yeah. And then meetings all day long. I break for an hour or two, and then I go into my restaurants and then sometimes my nightclub.
And so you go into your restaurants, you hop from restaurant to restaurant, and just keep an eye on. And
So I try to focus in on one a night instead of trying to hit 5 a night. I rather have great quality time in one of them and go around to the different ones, nightly.
you're touching the management team, you're touching the wait staff, you're just
Yeah, but I love to have the experience inside my restaurants, and I love and I when I first started going, it would be like the managers with the managers making on. I don't want a manager to ever serve me. I want to know what the experience is for my guests. I want the servers to serve and to see what the whole experience is. If you just have your manager on top of you, I don't get a good sense of it.
So what's the difference between a good wait service and bad wait service?
I
What's
think
the difference between good and great?
So I think being able to anticipate their desires and their needs before they ask for it. You make sure that water's full. You make sure that cocktail, the second one's on the way right before they finish their first one. You make sure that the food is coming out timely and when it's supposed to, and they don't feel like rushed, or they feel like it's taking too long for certain things. You have to really be able to, and I don't want someone really talking my ear off and doing the whole thing.
Right.
I really just want great service so that they feel like they're being taken care of and they could have their best experience.
Oh, that's amazing. And when you go into your restaurant at night and you look around and you see that some of these things are off, do you go right to the waiter or do you go to your
I'm not one of these guys that writes things down on notes and then will send an email the next day about it. I hit it right away. I grab the manager, I grab the server, I see an issue. I wish I could, because some people say it's better to then make notes, send it later on. So no way, man. And if the food is not great, I make sure they send it right back to the chef in the back and whatever it is and say, this is the issue, take a look at this, because I don't want someone else to have the same issue.
And part of that's got to be your experience starting as a bartender. You're probably a bar back. You're probably waited.
No, everything. I've done every job from host to server to manager to assistant manager to general manager, director of operations, all that. Marketing.
So you can do it all.
Yeah, I never have to be handcuffed by anybody because they think I'm not going to do the job myself. They all know that I know what I'm talking about. I'm not some guy that inherited some money and I said, let me open up a spot,
Right.
They know that I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, you ran the POS
Yeah,
system.
they know what I'm doing.
David, this was amazing, man. I super appreciate everything you do for my business. I appreciate everything you do for my family, personally and professionally. It was amazing having you on.
I love you. I love your family. I love what you're doing. And I think it's important the world knows.
I love you too, brother.